So today we're gonna talk about being ourselves, or being yourself, or being myself. Of course, thanks for coming. Yeah. It's a very unique topic. What does it mean to be myself? What is the self we're talking about? Any ancient tradition described many layers of the self, each one of them having their corresponding function in our own manifestation, be it in a gross manifestation, in a subtle manifestation, or in a causal manifestation. Today we will not discuss much about the subtle part, or the subtlest part, or the causal part, because it would require more time, not because it's a difficult topic, but it's because when we're talking to people, we don't know their level of understanding, so you cannot assume that people know what you're talking about. And therefore, you have to gradually create a mindset that allows the person to grasp what you want to share with them. So what we will focus today is in the, let's say, authentic self, spontaneous self, or more natural, human self. And where we are as adults, and also considering the level of understanding we see in the world nowadays, the tremendous progress, of course, we have that has happened in the last 100 years and even more in the last 50, 60 years. This expansion of human consciousness, it's a wave that cannot be stopped anymore. And we see conflicts arising here and there because the younger generations are getting more and more aware of things that up to now were not as important. And consequently, they are questioning the status quo. They are breaking the paradigms. And of course, we all have this responsibility as well. And one important fact is, like, when in our lives do we lose this natural perception that we are complete beings, that we don't lack anything? Just by who we are, it's enough. And how do we know it's possible? If we observe children, they feel they are the center of the world, which is magic. You know, if you see a group of 2, 3, 4 years old children, and you ask them, who is the smartest one in the class among you? They will all raise their hands. Everyone. Because no one of them can think that someone else is smarter than them. Or the other way of seeing it, no one has ever told them that someone else is smarter than them, or faster, or cuter, or more joyful. They do not have this differentiation. They do not live by the guidelines of comparison. They just are. And that's enough for them. Trying to manifest whatever they know, curious about everything, expressing freely and completely their desires, their dreams, their fears. They do not have any filter to interact with other people. They just interact. But then when you go to another group of children, let's say 7, 8, 9 years old, and you ask the same question to them, who is the strongest person? Who is the strongest child here? Everyone will say, it's him, it's her. By the age of 7, 6, 7, between 6 and 9, let's say, they will know who is the most beautiful one, who is the bully, who is the strongest, who is the fastest, who is the smartest. Of course, there are two implications on this perception. One, at a certain point you realize that you're not, let's say, the center of the world anymore. You are one ego dealing with so many egos around you. But that does not mean that you live your life guided by comparisons. It does not mean also that you elude yourself. I'm not saying that too. I'm just saying that whatever is spontaneous and natural, why do you lose that? The same behavior is visible in elder people, right? Because they know they have more lives, more days left behind than they have ahead of them. So they stop somehow, let's say, caring about what others think about them. And they live their lives. They tell you what they like, what they don't like, whether you like or not. But why, somewhere in between, we lose this? We invent things in our mind because we want to project an image. First, these images project onto us by our parents, by our society. Some parents, actually, children do not have any free will. Their will is their parents' will, which is questionable, and the least it is wrong. You have to accommodate that child. Because it's a different being. And was born with a different purpose. So we create this idea, very young age. And not only that, society is very much worried about what do other people think about me. As if they thought about you. Most people don't think about you all the time, at any time. We overvalue what people think about us, but they never think about us. Every now and then they have some. Why? Because they are worried about themselves. They are worried about what other people think about them. It's a waste of energy, waste of time. And frequently, we go against our natural impulses, our spontaneous being, and the pursuit of our own things, because we give too much value to what other people think about us. And in the one extreme, and I know a lot of people, very unfortunately, that they stop being themselves, they stop pursuing their dreams just because other people do not agree with them. There is a reason for that, it's self-non-acceptance. And because you don't accept yourself, you go around begging for someone else's acceptance. And you go to the limit of giving up your own existence and following whatever other people want you to do just to be accepted by them. This is the beginning of a downhill avalanche that's going to crash you down when you hit the bottom. Being is centered in you. Being is centered in the I. And I don't mean a selfish miser. It's just understanding. With the quintessential question, who am I? Of course, it's broader than what we are going to discuss today, but it's a good question. Who am I? Well, a good way of thinking is like, who am I not? There's a very interesting story. There was a court hearing, and they want to find out who was the owner of the body. Right. So the hearing began. The judge was there, and first came the mother. No, that body belongs to me, because for 9 months I nourished and cared for inside of my womb. It came out of me, therefore it belongs to me. Then came the father. The father. No, I had contributed to the genesis of this being. So that body belongs to me. Then came the government. No, this body paid taxes. I need this body to work so that he can pay taxes. Then came the company. No, this is a very important part of our production line. This body belongs to me. And there came all the bacteria that you have inside of the body. Oh no, this body exists because it feeds us, and we also help the maintenance of this body. This body belongs to me. And then eventually, the owner of the body, I think this body belongs to me because without this body I cannot go around. So who's the owner of the body? Eventually, the judge, he heard so many other parties that want to claim the ownership of the body. And then the judge said, well, it is true that all of you can claim some ownership of this body. But this body belongs to the owner. It's not his body. It was given to him, and it's his responsibility to take care of it for as long as this body is alive. So what does that mean? You are not the body. Body is just a structure given to you at birth or during conception time, there is a development phase. And eventually it's going to be taken away. What you don't know, and no one knows, is when it's going to be taken away from you. Your lifespan. For how long you have this body to accomplish the things that you came here to accomplish. Because, and listen very carefully, each one of you came here with a purpose, with a mission. Not only survival. If you just feed yourself, the body is going to live all its lifespan. The body will have fulfilled its goals, but you have not fulfilled yours. Animals do that. What you don't know about the lifespan, let's say if you're born in Finland, chances are your lifespan is going to be quite long. If you're born in a slum somewhere in Latin America, chances are it's going to be very, very small, your lifespan. So, at certain point, we lose the spontaneity. We know that we are not this body. We know there is a limited lifespan. And we also know, which we don't know, right? We know there is a limited lifespan, whose time frame we don't know, and we will never know. And we have to assimilate the fact that we all came here with a purpose. Some have huge responsibilities, others have less responsibilities. But one thing in common that applies to everyone is that you are responsible for your own evolution. Maturity, growth, and spiritual enlightenment, awareness, increasing, broadening, expanding your awareness. For no one can do that for you. In other words, no one can live your life for yourself. Period. You do, however, have the power or the free will to give it up and allow someone else to command your life. But if you know about it, if you do it deliberately, don't complain later. I think it's a waste of time. Precious time. And that's why it's very important to strive to be yourself. To spend some time, preferably every day, in trying to figure out do I have any talents? Do I have any gifts? what during my life, regardless of the circumstances, I would not do. If I could choose, and I had all the resources available, what would I do with my life? What are the values that are important for my existence? Am I manifesting them? And if not, why am I not manifesting them? Simple, straightforward, clear questions. Definitely, it requires courage for most people. If I ask these questions to a teenager or a young person, the answer comes naturally, effortless, because they know it. They're still going uphill, They do not foresee the end of their lives. Somehow they still think, and it's brilliant, that they can do anything with their lives. And the interesting part, they can. No one can stop them. But as people grow a little bit, it's very hard for them to answer this question. Even when I ask people, I see their faces, the body reaction. It's as though you're stabbing them. Move around, jerk around. And that's why during the meditation we did the visualization. Cleaning out the garbage. As you saw, the child doesn't have any garbage. Garbage means the imposed limitations. Diminishing beliefs. Indoctrinations that are harmful to their growth, that contradicts their own nature, which is the cause of many psycho-emotional conflicts that people have in their lives. They are forced to swallow some beliefs that everything around them proves to be wrong. And then they're in this constant conflict. But how come? How can I live like that? I see nature. Nature is a very good example of just being yourself. Sometimes the sky is cloudy. Beyond that dark cloud, it's still calm and peaceful blue. Still the sky. It's raining, it's a hot day, still there. Because nature, having the core of their programming, the acceptance of impermanence, that everything's changing all the time, fluctuates. Our own being know this. We have our own cycles. Women have their own cycle. Men also have their own cycle, but they do not acknowledge this just because they don't bleed. But they do have a cycle. If you stop and are sensitive enough, as time goes by, you understand your cycle. Men also have their period, let's say. And because they do not acknowledge or ignore these, every month they go through some dramas. Or make wrong choices, or behave in a very awkward way. It's important to understand. Because it's a natural cycle. So there is impermanence and change in everything. We have to, let's go back to the idea of being yourself. And in the center of that comparison between 3-4 years old babies and 6-9 years old, it's like at a certain point you start comparing yourself. I mean, when you compare yourself with anything around you, could be a thing or another person, there are two possible outcomes. A sense of superiority or a sense of inferiority. Both are questionable. But depending on your attitude, that's how you go around. Both are extreme. Strong superior, strong sense of glamour, center of attention. Inferior, strong sense of being, someone has to find me. Craving, begging to be recognized, to be valued. Both are deluded. These are delusions. Why are they delusions? Because you are unique. You were born from different parents at different times with different body structure, different economical system, cultural system, intellectual system, political system, environmental system. Everything. It makes you unique. It doesn't matter who the other person is. It shouldn't matter. Because if you start if you start being worried about other people, then you enter into a game that's going to lead you to constant fluctuations. You look at the poor person begging in the street and you feel all right. Oh, my life is good, you know. I have a house, I have a job, I have a family, I have a car, or I'm going to university, I'm retired, I have a steady income. You feel all right. Oh, life is good. Then you go home. By the time you get home, you look at the neighbor. The house is bigger, the car is nicer, the family seems to be happy. Children are smarter. Then you feel sad. And this happens so many times during each and every day of our lives. And then towards each one of them, we embody one role. We put one mask. That we believe that's the best mask to deal with this situation. We disintegrate ourselves. We fragment ourselves. So long as we lead our lives based on comparisons, we'll be fragmenting our lives. Because there are so many people to compare ourselves with. In so many different fields. Art, technology, science, spirituality, anywhere. And this, not only it's wrong, but whenever we do it, we waste precious time of our existence. We throw away energy that could be used towards the completely manifestation of our own unique being. So for your own sake, stop comparing yourselves. Oh, and some people, they come and say, yeah, but if I compare myself with that person, well, sometimes I look up to someone because that person inspires me. That's all right. That's why we have superheroes. Superheroes are mythological models that have some characteristics or attributes that we would like to impersonate, to assimilate, and to put into practice in our lives. It's a tremendous difference. One is to compare yourself with the other person. The other is looking at something which is good. Well, I want to manifest it. That's fine. Because it gives you a goal. You want to achieve that. That's perfect. That's why we have mythological figures. They're models we use to inspire ourselves. The magic world of storytelling is through imagination. The fact that superheroes, they also face problems and challenges, and sometimes they're almost defeated. But because of the belief in their own courage and strength, they go on and they win at it. Winning in this case means you manifested what you're supposed to manifest. There is Gandhiji. He was a great human being, right? Albert Einstein said that future generations will not believe that such a person of flesh and bones walked on this earth. Tremendous impact he caused on this whole planet. He's the first human being in history that gave independence to his country without violence. We're in a world with more and more we have wars and weapons of mass destruction everywhere. But a few decades ago, one human being, flesh and bones like you, 2 eyes, 1 nose, 1 mouth, 2 arms, 2 legs, had headaches, stomachache, whatever ache we have, just by strong belief, he was able to motivate a whole nation just by being himself. There is a story, a British journalist, he was just about to get into a train. There were a lot of journalists around, and one of the journalists asked him, Gandhiji, what's your message to the world? And he said, my life. My life is my message. The same should be to all of us. Your life, your choices, your achievements, it's the message. But you have to believe that it can be a message. And you have to know what kind of message you came here to share with others. Some people, they came here to give a message to one single other human being. Some Mahatmas like Gandhiji, his message was to the whole world and forever. These are pathfinders. They open our eyes to a new level of consciousness and understanding. Non-violence. That's what he practiced. It's so natural, right? And it still requires so much effort. The understanding of this self-being makes every second of your existence worthwhile. Your while. Some people figure this at a very young age. That's why you have a lot of prodigies. Of course, there is a whole infrastructure behind. Sometimes to be born in a family whose parents are mature, it's a tremendous gift. Huge part of your growth and development will come from the support you had during childhood, at a young age of your life. Because the parents could be in a completely different field and they realize, well, my child is... There was this very famous scientist, and I truly, honestly don't remember his name. He socialized science in the 80s, 70s and 80s, 60s, 70s and 80s. And in a tremendous way, it's a pity I forgot his name. And then one day people were interviewing him. And he had a daughter and a son. And he was saying that he liked telling stories to them before they went to bed. And he grew up, and to his son he would tell stories, about science and about organized things. And he said his son had a tremendous imagination. He picked up things from the surroundings, and he would put science into it. And his son would go on and on with imagination. But his daughter, he said, no, she wanted me to read the same story every day. Every day. And read in a book. She didn't want me to tell a story, to invent a story. And he said, why? Because they were different personalities. So you have to accept that. In the same fashion, you have to accept that you are a different personality from everyone else. Otherwise, you cannot be yourself. You are being themselves all the time. Whichever self appears in front of you. At school, you want to be the teacher, you want to be this group and that group, athletics, and then research, and then music, and then drama, and then arts, and then environment. We go around being someone else all the time. All the time. Has got to stop. If you know what are your main traits and what you want to do with your life, fascinating, go for it. Don't waste any single second anymore. If you don't know, we'll find it out. I can help you. some questions and some exercises. And it doesn't matter how old you are. As long as you have a body that takes you around, you can always achieve what you want to achieve. You can always manifest. Darwin wrote The Evolution of Species at the age of 65. 65 years old. Fascinating. It never ends. Because you know what's your passion, right? It's a good way of finding out what you like doing, what inspires you, or who yourself is. Being open to life. Sometimes you're just walking around and you bump into someone accidentally, and from that person comes a question or comes a phrase that completely shakes the foundations of your existence and leads you to a completely different path in life. But you gotta be open for that. Gotta be open means you gotta be yourself. Sometimes your boss offers you another opportunity and you pass it on. Just because you're in a comfortable zone with what you're doing right now. Which leads us to another very important aspect of this conversation. If you want to be yourself, you gotta be courageous. You gotta be honest. And you gotta be strong. Because there will be loads of people criticizing you, telling you that what you're doing is wrong. The world is full of people like that. They may be right. I'm not saying they're wrong. Some people, they're wise and they have experience. They can tell you right away, hey, I've seen you growing up, you know, you're not going to get there. But you don't know until you try. Because as in one of the previous talks I shared with people, there is no such a thing as failure. You just have learned one way of not getting what you want. It's as simple as that. Now, if you repeat the same thing expecting a different outcome, then it's a problem. You can take advantage of that for learning, for improving. That's what being yourself is all about. Last night I was speaking with my wife, and I was telling her, you know, we were having a conversation, and suddenly it came to my mind. There is a very small part of our body, very small, tiny part, that if we use it, it immediately changes the perception of everyone around you. And which part is that? Well, you all did it right now, actually, unconsciously. It's your mouth. You just smile at someone. It's enough. If the person is happy, you make the other person happier. If the person is in a bad mood, you bring in some light, some motivation, some joyfulness. You just have to open it a little bit. It doesn't cost you anything. Actually, it's good. They say that we have a lot of muscles in our face, so you're working out your muscles. Small things. Life is simple. Or it's much simpler than we think it to be. And this simplicity, this naturalness, it's our core essence. This is what children are all about. Instinct, emotions, but natural ones. This is what many elder people are. Children, because they are honest, I don't like it. It's as simple as that. Elder people, because they know, well, I have very short time span, I better do what I like, you know. Then if you're listening to some news that they don't like, they say, shut it off. I don't like it. I don't want to waste my life listening to something that I don't like. And by the way, I don't like you either. Something in those lines. Honest. The grandfather of a friend of mine, whenever someone went to his house and he didn't like the person, he said, oh, I wish I was a visitor so that I could leave this house right now. Honesty. You don't need to. We may call diplomacy, or we may call it hypocrisy. Of course, there has to be a balance in your life, you know. It's not all the time everything you want to do and behave and things like that, because you live in a community. But this does not stop you from being your own self. Sometimes just by existing, just by being yourself, Swamiji used to say, you know, sometimes just by being yourself, you're a source of discomfort. And you know, he used to wear these saffron clothes, you know, for swamis, which is traditional clothes for swamis in India. And he was frequently traveling all over the world, giving talks, you know. And he could see that sometimes he was just walking, and people would look at him, you know, and make faces. It was not his intention, but it was something different from what people were used to. And he said one day at the New York airport, one of the security persons opened his luggage and saw all this saffron clothing, and the person was like, oh, you like orange, don't you? So sometimes just by being yourself, you're going to disturb the environment. But if your intention is not to disturb, don't worry about it. It's people with their own issues, with their own problems. In a working environment, this is very common. But be yourself. Know why you're there, what role you're playing. Don't fragment yourself. Be your whole all the time. And that means living a less conflicting life. Conflicts arise from fragmentation. For thinking you are someone at home, someone at work, someone at school, someone outside. I've already spoken about it in a more elaborate way. We all have roles, yes, but underneath all these roles, the core of your being should remain the same. I have a friend, she is a psychiatrist, and many years ago we used to exchange a lot of emails and talks. And she has a very interesting lifestyle, which is uncommon. And one day we were discussing, and she said one thing was very interesting. She said, the price you pay for living your own life and choices is directly proportional from how different you are from the society where you are living. Why? Because then people, they give themselves the freedom to question you, to criticize you. Either because they don't believe, or because they are afraid, or because you're a threat to them. Oftentimes people question other people that are pursuing their dreams because they feel the threat, Or somehow, somewhere along the way I gave up my dreams. But this person is proving to me that's possible. And no one wants to have that feeling. How come I didn't have the courage? How come I didn't have the persistence? How come I didn't have the discipline? Then becomes self-judgmental, which is the other part we have to just talk about it. Being, your essential being is non-judgmental. Judgment comes from comparison. There is nothing to compare with. What can you judge? How can you judge yourself? I can say, I'm this, I'm like that, I'm not like this, I'm not like that. There is no source of comparison. There's no judgmental either. And then you do a great thing. If you stop judging yourself, you stop judging everyone around you. So you see the benefits? You benefit yourself, you benefit the whole world around you. That's why it's important to know, who is this being? What is this being? Why am I this being? What do I have to manifest as this being? Think of the relief. And now, just honestly, if you could remove the self-judgmental self from your life, what a relief. You remove a tremendous burden from you. Actually, this severely judging person is one of the biggest obstacles for the achievement of your goals. By far. Because it's always there, whispering in your ear. You cannot do that. I don't think you're worth that. No, but that person is better than you, therefore you cannot do it. Now, don't fool yourself. You're not going to do it. What if you start doing it and you don't get what you want to get? This is the fragmented self, right? It's not the integrated self. One believes, the other doesn't believe. Which is okay, in a sense. It's okay in a sense. We all know some days we are extremely joyful, extremely happy. You wake up in the morning and say, hey, I could conquer the world today. Whatever you're fueled, whatever you want to do, you think, that's natural to me. Bring it on, I'll take care of them. But there are some other times that you're not as confident. as strong. This leads us back to the everything's impermanent, including our own mood. But you know that you are not your mood. The mood comes and goes. What remains? The being, the self. And the stronger and more assimilated the knowledge of the self is, less moody you become. Because as we just discussed, it comes from the fragmentation and from the self-judging being. So we don't compare, we have nothing around to compare us with. We don't judge. We don't judge. We don't waste energy in trying to become what we are not, trying to please someone who couldn't care less about you, or someone who's going to be there just for a period of time and then is going away. Naturally, even parents. Parents, family, husbands, wives, children, it all comes and goes. Just the time frame that remains a bit different. So think about it. Stop judging yourself. Wow. That little fellow, little lady that walks into the bathroom in the morning, looks at him or herself in the mirror, and the first question, I wish I was different. My eyebrows, my hair, the height, the color of the skin, the weight. Every day. Remove this being. Put in the lock. Put in a safe lock. Throw it out. Wow. You can feel the wave leaving. Oh, what a relief. Why? Because you are carrying a load that is not yours. And willingly you do that. It's so... Yeah, I was going to use a word, I'm not going to use it, but it's avoid it. It's foolish, okay? Let's put it this way. It's foolish. So when we understand these basics, because we were there once upon a time. We were children. We have elder people around us to observe them. We have nature that manifests in a completely interdependent, integrated, and harmonic way. Cycles. We have the cycles to observe. And in between, we have ourselves. And everyone around is in the same boat, If you're all right with yourself, itself is a tremendous contribution to the world. Remember Gandhiji, my life is my message to the world. Wow. It takes your breath away, It's awe-inspiring. That's the model I was talking about. You could use it as a model. Because then a dramatic change happens in your cognition. And if you change in your cognition, changes your whole body structure. From an energy perspective. You stop dragging yourself around from day to day. Doing the same thing. Repeating, routine. Some people say, I have 30 years of experience. No, they have 1 month of experience and they did it 300 times the same thing. All the rest is wasted. No growth, no maturity, no development, the same single being. And once you reach a certain point of your life, that you grow out of your self-centered existence and you start observing people around it. Some people you met 20, 30, 40, 50 years ago, and you meet them now, it's like meeting the same person. What a waste. It's like a robot. We're so afraid of artificial intelligence. At least there is intelligence there, you know. Because many people are living artificially. Like robots. From morning to morning, from morning to morning, from morning to morning. 1 year, 10 years, 20 years. No change. So you've got to be yourself. As I said, whatever self you think you are. You are neither superior to anyone, nor you're inferior to anyone. You may know more things than other people in your area, in your field. You definitely have different experience from other people. But that doesn't make you better or worse than anyone. Just makes you who you are. You have your own talents. You have your own weaknesses. You have your own path. Your own life to live. You can choose to share this life with someone. You can get married. You can live a single life. You can get married to a man, to a woman, whoever you want. It's your life. Other people don't matter. In the sense that they will not be walking on your shoes. So when you gather the strength to be yourself, that's where the expansion begins. Because you're solid, you're integrated, you are okay with yourself. All this noise we have in our mind, disturbances and conflicts, they disappear. Then it opens up a tremendous space to start observing things around. People, nature, manifestation. Expand yourself. You get self-confidence, self-motivation, self-respect. Then you go on. And the more you extend, the more you contribute. The more you contribute, the better it is for everyone around. Regardless of your age, you could be the next Gandhiji. Or the next scientist or an artist. Whatever you want to be. Because you're removing the crutches, You need something to stand on. Because someone told you it's very important to support you. You have to believe in this because this is going to give you strength. You were walking on your own as a child, and then suddenly they started giving you things so that you could support yourself. You don't need that support. You are the support. Because you are the whole. You are complete. On your own unique existence. That's being yourself. Of course, it's a fascinating topic, We could go on, and we just saw a tiny part of it. But the message I want to share with you today, it's like, look at yourself in the mirror and acknowledge the uniqueness of your own existence. The beauty of your own talents. Be grateful for your life. The list. One of the next talk I think I'll be sharing about the manifestation. Everything's given. What have you done to gain this body? Air, oxygen, space, water, sunlight, fruits, food. Our contribution, it's insignificant in the scheme of things. So we have to grow, to contribute more and more and more to the sustainability of this whole planet and our own existence, because everything's been given to us. We've got electricity bill, but the sun never sends the electricity bill to us. It's free. And without the sun, life wouldn't exist, It's as simple as that. I'll leave you the question I asked before. I want you to answer those questions. You can answer right now or at home. The first question is, what are my talents? You all have. It could be in behavior, it could be a technical, it could be intellectual, it could be physical, because you're all different. The second question is, what do I want to do with my life? What is the direction I want to go towards? The goals I want to achieve. What are the things that, regardless of this, the third question, what are the things that, regardless of the circumstances, I would not do? Many people that I help them, I began by asking them what you don't want to do with your life. Because then you start removing things. It's a good exercise. And the fourth question is, what do you think are your weaknesses? Because usually weaknesses are the ones that stop you from achieving your goals. In India, they have this beautiful Mahabharata, which is an epic. All great people. Great gurus, great warriors, great statesmen. And at the end, most of them, they died because of their unique weakness. Leads them to death. It's a great book on psychology. All human personalities and strength and behavior in that book. It's fascinating. It's an amazing message from Mahabharata, from the Mahabharata. So it's important to be aware of the weaknesses and try to work on them and improve them. So thank you very much for your time. It's been a privilege, again, sharing some ideas and thoughts with you. I'll be